Morning. I'm back to all right, what's next? Hey, so I've been building this giant freaking monolithic patio table. Now I've got to build the actual tabletop to go on it. The patio table will be done. It'll already be out there sitting. I'm recording, making this video as a completely separate video from the patio table itself. So you'll see the actual finished tabletop if you watch the patio table video. We're gonna go over how to do an epoxy resin tabletop, where you pour the resin over it instead of putting urethane or whatever type of coating you want on there. I'm gonna do a resin top. Now it's gonna be an outside patio, so gotta have high UV resistant resin. I got a 1 gallon kit. It is super clear epoxy coating. It's got part B, part A. It is a 1-to-1 mix resin. This stuff is a very, very high UV resistant resin. All resins will yellow over time when exposed to the sun. This stuff will last far longer than most resins. Now with this is not a deep pour resin. This is specifically made to do tabletop epoxies. That's why it says tabletop on there. If you try and do a deep pour on this stuff, it heats up really bad and it will crack. So I think it's like up to 1/4 inch is all the deeper you want to pour this stuff with. In the box you get, of course, part A, part B, instructions on how to use it, and it comes with a sticker. I like stickers. All shop fridges should have plenty of stickers and magnets on them. Hey, I got the tabletop all sanded, mounted. It's all stained. It's now ready to prep for resin. It's got all these knots all over in here. We need to do something about them because resin will just pour through there. You have a look here. Let's zoom in on this guy. You can see the light through there. Yeah, so if I go and pour resin like that, all my resin's just gonna pour out and go all over the frickin' the tree. Now, a smart man would have addressed this issue prior to mounting it, but you're watching my channel, so you get what you get. What we got to do is we have to come up from underneath with a hot glue gun, and I'm going to put my flashlight on all of these knots, and any of them that I can see light coming through, I'm going to fill up the knot from the underside with hot glue. Make sure nothing drips out of it before we go and put our seal coat on here. And that's what we're going to do today, is get the seal coat on after these knots are filled up. So I'm going to get this camera out of the way, and then I will put hot glue in these things, and we'll deal with the resin. All right, so we got the tabletop is all prepped. It is ready for us to do the seal coat. Seal coat's going to be your first coat to put on there, and it fucking seals the wood. It's to minimize air pockets, crap like that's going to come up. We're going to fill all them knot holes and everything that we just addressed with the hot glue, and make sure that when we pour our flood coat, it stays nice and level and doesn't go in any voids or anything that we weren't aware that were there. That's what this is going to address. Before we put the seal coat on, when you're doing a resin tabletop pour, probably one of the most important things you got to do, make sure that thing is freaking level. If you don't have it level, all your resin's just going to run off one side, and your goddamn flies. All your resin's going to run off of one side, and it is not going to work for you. So make sure your project is level. I mean, I'm half a bubble out of plumb pretty much all the goddamn time, but my project, it is level. Another thing that we're going to do, we got that hole in the center that is going to be for the umbrella. I have my shot glass mold from a previous video. It sits down in there perfect. we're going to spray it with some mold release, and we're going to shove it in that hole. That way when we start pouring resin, the resin just doesn't start running down that hole and clogging it up, because it has to be that specific dimension to go over the pipe on the concrete stand that's out there, which won't be on this video because this video is all about pouring resin. But if you watch the actual building of the table, you'll see that. So I'm going to spray this real quick, and I'm going to stick it in there, and then we're going to start mixing some resin. If you build one of these yourself and you don't have the shot glass mold, you should have watched one of my earlier videos, made yourself shot glass mold, and you'd have it. If you don't have it, well, I guess you're shit out of luck. Watch one of my earlier videos and make one of them shot glass molds. All right, we're going to, I don't know how much resin I need. I'm going to take a guess at it, which is the best way to go about doing resin. But I'm going to take two Dixie cups, plastic cups, whatever, and it's got these ridges on here. I'm going to fill both of them up to this top ridge, part A, part B in each of them. Then we're going to dump it into the solo cup. And then I have this Alumilite Flow Green dye. We're going to add just a little bit of dye to it and give it a nice green tint. We don't want it opaque. We want a very light tint because we still want to be able to see the wood grain underneath. I don't use the actual liquid dye very much because it can get away from you pretty quick if you're doing really small pours, because this shit will tint stuff really dark really fast. And it's expensive. It's $5 for this, where I think I spent $15 on a box of mica powders that'll last me 30 freaking years. All right, I think that's pretty well sufficiently stirred. Another thing you're gonna need for this project, you want a good wide, flat-bladed, clean putty knife. This doesn't actually look clean, it is clean. The end of it is ground off, ran it on a friggin' sander real quick, sprayed it down with some brake clean, so it's clean. We're gonna use this to spread it around. What else do I need? Anything? Think about it? No, I don't believe so. Let's move this over to the table and we'll start our pour here. Oh, fuck, yeah, I know what else I needed. Don't forget a propane torch or a heat gun. Not a hair dryer, you want a heat gun, something that puts out, you know, a lot of fucking heat where you can actually see the coils getting red hot. And we're gonna use that to pop bubbles with. So let's go that way. I'm gonna wipe my gloves off before I touch my goddamn camera stand. All right, hole. Tap that down in there. She is filled. We filled that hole right there. Now, go through and we're gonna dump this slowly into each of these knot holes first and let that freaking drain down in there. Try and get all that resin forced down as best as you can into these knots, because that's going to be the worst offenders of where your air bubbles are going to come from. All right. Now we're pretty much just going to work from the inside out, see if we can't. You just want to make sure all the wood gets some coverage. Resin is self-leveling. So you don't have to worry about it being even. It'll freaking level itself out. All right, I think that's going to be pretty good for right now. You don't want to overwork it. You keep freaking working it and working it, and it's going to start curing, and it won't have time to level itself out, and you'll have it all. It'll be all fucked up. I have identified a spot that is going to be a problem when I do the flood coat. I'm going to have to go in and do a little bit of patchwork. Not really patch. I got to get the hot glue gun out. Can't see it on that side, but here, let me fuck camera out. Right there. Let me take my glove off so I can mess with my fucking camera. That knot right there. It's got a freaking hell of a gap right there. I'm willing to bet that when I pull this plug out of there, resin's been running down that little hole. We can't have that. We're gonna have to see if we can put some sort of stopper in there to keep resin from coming down in there. Now that I got the seal coat on there, now what I got to do, I'm gonna hit it with the torch and pop any freaking micro bubbles that are on it. I think I am most assuredly going to add tint to the final flood coat, and with the tint I'm probably going to tint it even greener, try and get it a lot richer color. I might even try color of mica powder. I'm not sure. We'll have to look into what I got. But the seal coat is effectively done for the moment. We're going to come back in probably an hour or so, and all these drippings, as it starts to cure, it'll stop dripping. And then once they stop dripping, then we can just go through with this scraper and go right along the bottom of it, and it'll take all the drippings off, and you'll have a nice smooth finish. Plus, I didn't get my plastic in right, so I got shit all over my floor. All right, so till tomorrow. All right, so the seal coat is dry. It's been 24 hours. I went back through with some rubber cement and I filled in that little freaking notch there through the hole that goes down through the center for the umbrella. Now we got to do the flood coat. The flood coat, I think I'm going to do 3 times the amount of resin that we did for the seal coat. It's probably a bit much, but I would rather have excess resin instead of running out in the middle of a fucking pour. That's just gonna ruin your day. And with that, I'm gonna switch over to this mica powder, try and make it darker, bring out another level of green to it, because I just not happy with the tint of green that's on there right now. I want to darken it up a bit. Hopefully I don't fuck the entire project by making this decision, but you know, oh well. You don't need to see me freaking mix resin or listen to me talk while I mix resin anyways. I'm gonna mix up this resin. I'm gonna turn my radio back on, then we'll move the camera over there and we'll fucking pour this thing. The resin is now fully cured. It's ready to be used. It didn't turn out 100% perfect. There is, right along here, there's a little bit of waviness to it, that the resin didn't settle out completely perfect, and I could actually fix that. I could go back in and mix up a very, very small batch and just put some little drops in these little low spots here and there, and it would level itself out, and I would have a perfectly smooth tabletop. But this has been an extremely long, drawn-out process. I'm ready to take this patio table out to the deck and get it set up and get the umbrella in it. And I ain't gonna do that because it's an outdoor patio table. If this was gonna be inside, like I did my tabletop for my dining room table, I would fix these little imperfections, but I ain't gonna worry about it. Pop that guy out. Before I get it out there, I'm gonna tape this all off, and I'm gonna spray down in here and seal this wood a little bit. But that's for a different video. That's for actually finishing the patio table. I got one step left to do on here to call the top done. I got a drill. Had to have my little birdies in here. So there, that's all you got to do for pouring an acrylic resin countertop, tabletop, whatever. They're pretty easy to do. It is a little bit of a high stress when you start mixing the resin, because you do have a limited amount of work time. With the amount of resin I did, and I had 3 different cups, I should have had either a much bigger container to where I could have stirred it all at the same time, which is I think where I got my imperfection from, that the resin was probably curing at different rates, or I should have had help out here stirring this stuff. But either way, it turned out really nice. It's a super simple, easy process to do. You buy that kit off of Amazon, gallon kit, 65 bucks. So, and what I use, not even a third of it. All right, I hope you like friggin' the countertop, tabletop. If you did, hit that like button, subscribe. See you next time.